Imagine walking through the streets of Rome while another world lies beneath your feet. Hidden temples, forgotten tunnels, ancient tombs, rooms sealed away for nearly 2,000 years. Millions of people visit Rome every year, but many never realize that beneath the modern city are layers of an older Rome, buried by centuries of rebuilding, floods, fires, and time. And some of what survives underground tells a very different story about the Roman Empire. Tonight, we're going beneath Rome. Ancient Rome did not simply disappear. It was buried, rebuilt, demolished, flooded, and built over again. As centuries passed, new streets and buildings rose above older structures. In some places, what had once been ground level gradually became underground. Walk into certain buildings in Rome today, descend below the modern floor, and you can encounter structures from completely different centuries. And sometimes, underneath those structures, there is another level still. Rome became something like an archaeological layer cake. Every level represents another chapter, but the deeper you descend, the farther backward in time you travel. Religion in Rome wasn't limited to the enormous temples we see reconstructed in movies. Some worship happened underground. One of the most fascinating examples involves Mithras. Followers of the Mithraic mysteries often gathered in relatively small enclosed sanctuaries known today as mithraea. These spaces could be built below ground or incorporated into existing buildings. Imagine entering by torchlight, a long chamber, benches running along the sides. At the center of the religious imagery was Mithras. The rituals remain partly mysterious because followers didn't leave us anything like a complete instruction manual explaining everything they believed. Archaeologists, therefore, reconstruct the religion from inscriptions, artwork, and surviving sanctuaries. And beneath modern Rome, traces of this once important religious world still survive. Then there are Rome's catacombs. Long networks of underground burial galleries were created outside the ancient city's boundaries. Some became especially associated with early Christian communities. Walking through them today means entering corridors where generations of people were buried. But movies have helped create a myth. The catacombs were not simply gigantic secret underground cities where every early Christian spent life hiding from Roman soldiers. They were primarily burial places. That reality is actually more interesting. The inscriptions, symbols, and surviving artwork provide glimpses into how ancient communities remembered their dead and expressed their beliefs. These tunnels are not merely ruins, they're archives carved into the earth.
Rome also had another enemy, the environment. The Tiber River repeatedly flooded parts of the city. Buildings collapsed, fires destroyed neighborhoods, structures were abandoned, construction debris accumulated. New buildings replaced old ones. Over enormous periods of time, parts of ancient Rome vanished beneath later Rome. Think about that. A Roman could have walked into a building through a doorway at street level. Centuries later, that same doorway might sit well below the modern street. The building didn't necessarily sink. The city around it rose.
One of the best ways to understand Rome's layers is the Basilica of San Clemente. At the top is the later basilica. Go downward and you encounter an earlier Christian basilica. Descend farther and you reach Roman-era structures. Among the archaeological remains below is a Mithraic sanctuary. In a relatively small vertical distance, you can move through centuries of Roman history. Modern Rome, medieval Rome, early Christian Rome, imperial Rome, all occupying essentially the same location. Few places on Earth demonstrate the passage of time so physically. And this raises an extraordinary question. How much remains undiscovered? Modern Rome is a living city. People have homes, roads, businesses, churches, and utilities sitting above archaeological remains. Archaeologists cannot simply demolish modern neighborhoods to investigate everything underneath them. So discoveries sometimes happen during construction or restoration. A project begins. Workers excavate. Then history appears. A wall, a mosaic, a room, an ancient road. Sometimes archaeology changes the entire construction plan. And that means there are almost certainly pieces of Rome still waiting beneath buildings people use every day.